On today's episode of Touch 'em All Sports Radio, we're joined by Dr. Heath Hooper, the Dean of the Business School here at Shorter University. I'm Justin Franklin alongside Ethan Payne. Dr. Hooper, thanks for coming in today and being on the show with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
So, Dr. Hooper, a lot of people might not exactly know who you are. So kind of give us like a background on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'd love to. I appreciate the question there. So I went to Reinhardt College, graduated there in 2009. I was a student athlete there, played basketball all 4 years. My goal actually coming out of college was that I wanted to be an athletic director. I thought at the collegiate level. And my plan was to go to Georgia for graduate school and, do an internship there and complete that program. Ended up not getting into Georgia and going to Georgia State. So I coached at Reinhardt for a year. I was a head JV coach and assistant varsity for the men. Unpaid, completely unpaid for that first year. So I had 3 jobs on the side. I was a recreation coordinator, a 4th grade boys basketball coach, and I taught preschool.
Wow.
Preschool. 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. I was the activities coordinator there.
Wow.
For these kids. So did that first year, and then I got hired at Young Harris College as the assistant men's basketball coach for 2 years. Young Harris is where I'm from. Very small town if you've ever been to Young Harris. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I needed to get back out and try something different. And that was when I came to Shorter. This is my 6th year at Shorter. I teach sport management. Love it here. It's great programs. And I get to talk about sports every day still, and still communicate with students and student athletes on a daily basis and get to guide and direct them. So it's definitely a positive in my life to get to, be where I want to be and be involved with these students.
Mm-hmm. And Ethan and I on our show, we usually talk about the surface of sports. We'll touch, like hockey, basketball, football, soccer, baseball. What's your favorite sport?
It had to be basketball, since I played it and just been involved with it my whole life. But my probably favorite sport to watch would be football. College football. I'm pretty passionate Georgia fan, and it's great to see the Dogs have the #1 recruiting class this year. And but watching the differences between divisions, Division I, Division II, different conferences, you can really see a big difference there.
Yeah.
So I would probably say football and basketball are probably my 2 favorite.
Yeah. And Ethan and I, we're pretty passionate about sports, and I would assume that you are. What's your driving force behind sports? Like, what made you want to be a coach? Like, why do you love sports? Yeah,
so sports was instilled with me at a young age. My dad actually was the recreation director for the county where I was born and where I grew up. So I always had access to baseball fields, the gym, the soccer fields, with him being the recreation director. So we grew up, and he would always take me, and I was always around the games at the rec department, the soccer, the basketball, the football, the baseball. And so I guess at a young age, that's all I was around was sports. And so, playing sports growing up, it was a passion of mine. And it's, sports make you into the person that you end up being. I mean, it really does. The character values, the hard work, the teamwork, that goes into it. I think it really, really develops a lot of people. And then, leading into college, I really did think I wanted to coach just because I love the game so much and I liked being around the student athletes and being a former student athlete. But then I found a new passion, and I still got to be around sports and be around, students and college students and get to guide them. But, sports is something that we can always go to.
Yeah.
Anytime if we're upset about something or something's going on in our lives, you can come together as a family or as a group of friends to watch a game.
But people put aside their differences when it comes to sports, and I think that's one of the reasons I love sports that it's a unifier. People like when the Super Bowl with Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a huge city, a lot of people in it, and a lot of different opposing views, but they all came together for the Super Bowl, and I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to basketball.
Okay.
You more of a college guy or NBA guy?
College.
Okay.
However, LeBron is my favorite, I will say.
Well, funny you brought up LeBron. What's going on?
Man, they got all kinds of problems going on in Cleveland.
They just got blown out by the Magic, the Orlando Magic.
I heard today on ESPN that was the first time in LeBron's career, 15 seasons, that he had been outscored in the second half by 30 points.
Wow. Like as a
as a team.
As a team, wow.
As a team, and they don't ever lose against the Magic.
No, I mean,
that's just not not going to happen. But I think they got some issues that they need to figure out. Tomorrow's the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. There's been talks whether or not they're going to try to do a 3-4 player deal, but they brought in all these new guys trying to build a dynasty like Golden State has, and it's just not working.
And now there's rumors that LeBron might leave to go to Golden State.
Yeah, I heard those.
Which I think that's ridiculous.
That would tarnish his career.
That would tarnish his career, and it'd flip the NBA so much, and it'd just be bad.
I've always kind of been an NBA fan.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan is my hero. I grew up watching Jordan, and I mean LeBron will never be a Michael Jordan in my book,
so.
Just because Jordan made a worldwide impact on basketball.
Yeah.
Jordan is a brand. Jordan's a household name. They compared Tom Brady the other night to Michael Jordan. Even cross sports, which they shouldn't.
No,
because that's just
not.
crazy.
No,
but they do.
Mm-hmm.
Commentators do. But LeBron, they tried to bring in Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, Isaiah Thomas Jr. Isaiah Thomas just came back, and it seems like they've gotten worse since Isaiah Thomas has come back.
Yeah.
They really got to figure out how to play together. They got too many different pieces trying to do too many different things. And the part that gets me the most is when you watch them play or watch highlights, they are just down in the dumps. I mean, they don't look like they're having fun. No. They don't look like they like each other. I mean, they don't play any defense.
It's strayed from a team sport.
It is.
It's. I read a thing where their coach Ty Lue, excuse me, was talking about how guys have their own agendas, and that's when it comes to sports, you can't have that.
Not a team sport, right?
No, like maybe golf.
Yeah,
you can have your own agenda in golf because it's just you. But like basketball, you can't be selfish like that.
No,
and basketball, along with football, is one of the most teams like sports ever.
Yeah,
and you can't do one thing without the other.
It's interesting because Kyrie caught a lot of slack when he left Cleveland to go to Boston.
But now you're seeing maybe why.
Yeah. Now you see, okay, well, maybe he made the right decision because the Celtics are in first place in the East. And so you kind of look and see what is really going on in Cleveland. And I know LeBron and Dan Gilbert, the owner, have never really saw eye to eye. So now do you think that Dan Gilbert is going to try to get rid of LeBron and try to start over a new program? That's a question that's left to be unanswered.
I feel like that's what's got to have to happen because you've got LeBron in there and nothing's going to change unless LeBron's out.
Yeah.
Because LeBron's going to be LeBron no matter where he goes.
And he runs the team.
Right.
He makes the decisions.
He's the GM, the coach, and a player all at the same time. And so nothing's going to change as long as he's there.
I've always thought at the NBA level, it's the hardest to coach because you're coaching professional athletes that know the game. They're there for a reason. And it's more about managing personalities. And I think right now with where Cleveland's at, trying to manage a Dwayne Wade, trying to manage a Derrick Rose who has fallen off the world, trying to manage an Isaiah Thomas Jr. who was a possible MVP last year,
and now,
trying to manage a LeBron James who's the best player in the league. It's all about managing these personalities and bringing them together, to play together. That's why I think Steve Kerr does such an amazing job with Golden State.
Yeah.
I mean, he has Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, and has somehow brought those together. However, they did lose last night against the Westbrook.
Ooh. Well, Russell Westbrook's an animal. He's a freak.
I've never seen a player like Russell Westbrook.
It's insane.
He just doesn't get tired.
Talking about the Golden State Warriors, do you think they lose a key piece this offseason? In like Klay Thompson, maybe?
Yeah, I think Klay Thompson would be a loss if they somehow weren't able to keep him. But then again, you kind of look if they don't win the championship, they look at how to rebuild and win the championship.
Yeah.
It all depends on the playoffs.
Yeah.
The thing with the NBA is the season is so long, and then the playoffs are so long. So like Ty Lue made a comment the other day for the Cleveland Cavs. He said, "Well, we'll still make the playoffs."
Yeah,
But are you really? Is that what you're concerned about?
Yeah, if you say, "Oh, I'm going to make the playoffs, so we can afford to lose one game," you say that after every game you lose, you find yourself in the.
Well, right now they're an 8 seed.
They're the Cavs. They're an 8 seed.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they're a 7 or 8 seed right now, going into the playoffs. LeBron's never lost a first round game.
Like in the series. They've
always won the first round series 4-0.
Yikes.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
To say the least. To say the least. But I feel like the rumor of Klay Thompson leaving has been floating around for years now.
Yeah.
But ever since Durant came in.
Yeah. And he's had to take a back seat.
Yeah.
To Durant and Steph Curry.
But then again, maybe it was this past offseason, I believe, that Kevin Durant took a pay cut so they could sign more guys and bring it in. And I think that was a huge team player statement.
Yeah, it is. Kevin Durant makes enough money to where
he's not going to.
He's good. Yeah, he's not going to miss $3 or $4 million in order to bring in, because he was hungry. He's hungry for a championship. So guys are going to do that are team players, like we've been talking about.
So, what are your thoughts? Well, I know we're backtracking a little bit, but when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, what was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was that he was a sellout, that he left OKC so that he could go join a major team, a dynasty team, and maybe win a championship. And it goes back to, me saying I'm a Jordan fan. Jordan never did that. He never left Chicago. He stayed with Chicago. Now, when he came back his last time, that was just – he shouldn't have come back that last time. Now, the problem with Jordan was he just retired, he was undecided what he wanted to do. Yeah. But Kevin Durant joining Golden State was a huge shock and a blow to OKC and to Westbrook. Westbrook still takes it personally all the time whenever they play.
I would too.
Yeah.
I mean, they were tight.
Oh, yeah.
They made a huge bond and they created a brand for themselves almost.
Anytime when they were together in OKC and you would see them play on TV, what would you see? Just sold out.
Yeah.
Just sold out arenas, everybody on their feet the whole game. They do a great job with their fan interaction there with the T-shirts and everything, the color schemes.
Yeah.
So, but it was a complete shock when he went to Golden State. But, you got to do what you got to do. You got to be selfish at times.
Yeah, and I had the same initial reaction, but when I saw him take the pay cut to still be on that team, I was like, okay, wow. Yeah. Maybe it's not about him. It's about he wants to be on a team where he feels appreciated and unified. Yep. And maybe there was something going on in Oklahoma City. I don't know.
Maybe there was. We don't know these things. We only speculate of what goes on, but to each their own with their decision making.
Because you would have thought that the Cavs, it'd be like a dream in the locker room. You got LeBron and Derrick Rose and all these guys, but you come to find out it's falling apart at the seams. So we'll move to college basketball.
Okay.
College basketball. Ethan and I know less than the NBA. We know nothing about college basketball. So do you have an idea of? Can you give us a rundown of what's going on in college basketball?
Yeah, right now it's totally up for grabs. Kentucky is not even ranked. As of last week, they were not ranked. First time since John Calipari's been there that they have been unranked.
Wow.
Duke, I think, lost 3 of their last 5. North Carolina's gotten beat several times. This year, I've seen so much discrepancies between who's the top teams. You can always usually go through the season of a college basketball season and say, okay, you're Duke, you're North Carolina, you're Kentucky. These are going to be your top teams, number 1 seeds in the Final Four. They're going to make the Final Four. Doom. There they go. But this year, it's all the way up for grabs. You got Purdue that's coming in there who's ranked in the top 5. Last year was a lot of upsets in the NCAA March Madness. So this year, I tend to see a lot more upsets that happen and not really knowing who's going to get there.
Right.
Duke and North Carolina play tomorrow night. And that's a huge rivalry. Yeah. That's always a fun game to watch.
Yeah. I mean, Ethan, when it comes to college basketball, we don't live under rocks, but we know a little bit, but we don't know a whole lot. So, but what I have noticed is the emergence of Alabama's men's basketball team.
Yes, and the SEC.
Yeah, and Auburn, I think, was up there. And
Alabama beat Kentucky pretty bad in Florida.
Yeah.
They beat Florida the other day. Auburn has really surprised me this year. They went to scandal. They had the Adidas scandal and everything that happened in the offseason that happened with Pitino, him getting fired and all that mess. So I'm really surprised with how well Auburn's done this year. The SEC's never been real strong in basketball.
Yeah.
But this year you're kind of seeing a change in that, except for Georgia. I am a very disappointed Georgia fan when it comes to college basketball because all your top recruits come from the Atlanta area. But they don't go to Georgia.
Yeah.
They go to Kentucky. They go to Alabama. They go to Auburn.
But Georgia landed a number 1 recruit for the class of 2019 in basketball.
They did. Which we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But I'm just not a big Mark Fox fan when it comes to Georgia basketball.
Tennessee, are they good? From what I've heard, men's basketball?
They're up and down.
Yeah.
They have the old, I can't think of what his name is, but he used to coach at Texas. Barnes, I think is his last name, Coach Barnes.
Possibly.
He's at Tennessee now. He does a pretty good job there. They're up and down.
Yeah. Do you know anything about women's college basketball?
I don't. Not at all.
Unfortunately, neither do I.
I know UConn is very good. You've heard of UConn before?
Yeah, South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Mississippi State, maybe?
Maybe.
I
know UConn and South Carolina is always your top picks.
Well, we'll move on from women's basketball. And we'll talk about the Super Bowl. Dr. Hooper, did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did. That was an exciting game. I did not have a dog in that fight. I didn't really care who won the game. If I was choosing one, I would have chose Philly just because they were the underdogs and the story they had all year. It was kind of just like a storybook.
Yeah.
Your top MVP candidate gets out, and then your backup quarterback, Nick Foles, who's done well in the past seasons in football, really, pulled them through. It was an exciting game, a lot of offense. I was not ready for all that.
It was a shootout.
Yeah.
You've been a coach, not necessarily football, but the play call with the pass to Nick Foles.
Yeah. That's why they won the game.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
In a play like that.
That is, 99% of coaches at that point in time are going to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
At that early in the game, you already got a lead. You're going to kick the field goal because you're guaranteed points there.
And if you go back and watch film, in particular the division game against the Falcons, they field goaled the Falcons to death.
Yep.
And then I think they beat the Falcons at their own game when it came to that.
Yeah, I think what went through the coach's mind on that play was we can't really stop Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to score as many points as we can possible. Now, when they played the Falcons, they knew they could stop Matt Ryan and the Falcons, and they just needed points. Ethan,
what are your thoughts on Malcolm Butler being benched on defense and kind of?
Well, I thought he came up with a fantastic play a couple Super Bowls ago against the Seahawks. We all saw that. We already know that play is going down in greatness. It was a fantastic play on a relatively bad play call, in my opinion, and he came up huge. So the thought of a guy who had a Super Bowl saving play a couple years ago not starting, that's something that you don't hear of all the time. Yeah. But obviously, the coach knows what he's doing. He's on at that point for eighth time of his career.
It's Bill Belichick.
He knows what he's doing.
You're not going to doubt him.
So you obviously don't think he's wrong in that situation. Yeah, they didn't win the game, but the guy who they put in to replace him was burnt a couple times on touchdown passes. Granted, Alshon Jeffrey had a fantastic game.
He was undefendable. So, could not defend him.
You would have gone differently with Malcolm Butler in there. It's you never know. You don't know what happened.
Yep. Dr. Hooper, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's tough because Butler has been so strong in previous, all this year and in the previous Super Bowls, making that impact. He came from Division II West Alabama, which is in the Shorters Gulf South Conference. And to see a player get to that level and be that hero in a Super Bowl, you kind of want to cheer for him a little bit,
Yeah, you want to pull for that guy.
And so when you see him not play, you wonder what is really going on.
Yeah, and it goes back to the Cavs. Like, is it a locker room issue?
Yeah.
Is there something going on off the field?
Yeah. But I see him being pretty butthurt about that decision and probably wanting to go to a new team now.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went somewhere else in the offseason, for sure. Because that's a big game. It's a big game.
It's the biggest game there is. Yeah,
he's been on that stage before, and he's came up clutch. And
they said he started 16 out of the 17 previous games.
And then you don't start him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, against a really great wide receiver core
that you're gonna struggle with.
Yeah.
So, but he only played special teams.
I just see it as there's more to it.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Yeah,
there's got to be. And then if you saw it during the national anthem, he was incredibly emotional.
He was.
So maybe something was going on there. Who knows? Who knows? But Ethan, talking about baseball, Todd Frazier signed a deal with the New York Mets yesterday, and you and I as Braves fans, that's huge for us as the NL East just upped its competition just a little bit with Todd Frazier, who the Braves initially had their eyes on, but now he's a division rival. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's kind of upsetting that he went to the Mets due to the fact that it had been great for the Braves to get a third baseman. That's what they're lacking in right now, more or less. That's a position they need to make up for. It's pretty nice to see him go there though, because it's bringing up the level of the NL East. They already have the Nationals in there, who are an established team. They're going to do well every year. So now anyone says the Braves they aren't doing this, they aren't doing that. Well, I mean, they have a very strong division now.
The division is getting tougher if you're an Atlanta Braves fan, but then again, baseball was tough to watch if you're an Atlanta Braves fan. But I think that Todd Frazier to the Mets creates a problem if you're a longtime Mets fan, because you've got David Wright still, and he's your classic guy. Mets fans 9 out of 10 times they're wearing like a David Wright jersey if they were a fan before 2013,
because he was the face of that program for so long.
He was what they were, and then now he's had health issues. He's gone back and forth, spent some time on the DL. But then you bring in a guy like Todd Frazier, who's going to play.
What kind of position does that put David Wright in?
Yeah.
Does that make him want to go somewhere else? Obviously, he has his heart in New York. He's been there for a very long time. So does that put him in a play occasionally type of role? Does maybe make a switch to another position if there's one open for him? I don't really know what the Mets look like. Maybe if there's a first base position open, something that doesn't require a lot of mobility for him.
Well, they also got Adrian Gonzalez. So
what do you do?
Every hole's filled right now for the Mets, and plus you've got David Wright.
It's not like there's a DH in the NL,
right?
So he's out of
He's out of.
He's kind of getting kicked out of his throne.
He's almost being. It's almost like they're saying, "Hey, retire.
You're old.
Yeah, retire. We've got your replacement." But talking about baseball, we'll talk about this. Baseball season is quickly approaching. Who's your NL East division winner right now?
I mean, I'm definitely not going to say the Braves due to the fact of they're the Braves. Any Atlanta sports team tends to not do very well. So I think it's going to be the Nationals. They have a very strong pitching core, and Bryce Harper, obviously, one of the better outfielders in the MLB right now.
Right.
That he might come with a very large year this year and
do you think
very big numbers.
Do you think he goes somewhere in the offseason?
I think he's kind of money chasing. I think he's going to go to whoever offers the most money. If that's another team, it's probably where he'll go. I don't think he's dead set on anywhere other than whoever has the most money.
Well, the long-standing rumor was that he was going to go to the Yankees. But now the Yankees have this...
Imagine that outfield.
This star-studded outfield with Aaron Judge and Stanton and all these guys. And
imagine
throw Bryce Harper
into that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. We're going to wrap up the show now. Dr. Hooper, this is a thing we do where we pick the nightly NBA games. We haven't done this in a while. Ethan's got a pretty terrible track record, as do I. I've got them all here. We'll start with the Nets and Pistons tonight at 7. Who you got?
Gosh, I'd have to go Nets.
Ethan, what do you think?
I'm pretty bad at this, so I'm gonna say Pistons.
Okay, Rockets and the Heat.
Rockets.
At 7:30. Rockets.
I'll have to say Rockets also.
Yeah. Pacers and Pelicans.
Pelicans.
Absolutely Pelicans.
Jazz and Grizzlies.
Grizzlies.
Let's say the Jazz.
Timberwolves and Cavs.
I must think the streak continues. I'm going to go Timberwolves.
I got to go Cavs.
And Spurs and Suns.
Spurs.
Well, Dr. Hooper, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate this. Me and Ethan both do. Do you have any closing remarks that you want to get out there?
Thank you guys for having me on the show. It's been a joy. I always get to talk about sports. It's fun. So
absolutely,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and hopefully we can have you back sometime.
Love to.
If you have not already, follow us on Twitter at Touch 'em All Sports Radio, or on Twitter we're TEA Radio SU, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Tweet the show, #Hot TEA Take. We will read your tweet on the air. Follow us on Instagram. We don't have a Facebook. Facebook's for old people.
So does that mean I'm old?
No. I mean, no, absolutely not. But follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to Media on the Hill on YouTube. I'm Justin Franklin.
I'm Ethan Payne.
And Dr. Hooper.
And Dr. Hooper.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
All right.